from the videos that you can see right here that Cyclone Chapala has made contact with Oman and Yemen's island Socotra. And you take a look at that right there. It is indeed pretty strange that this cyclone materialized, or I should say intensified, into a Category 4 in 24 hours, making it the strongest ever to hit that area. Just like they said about Hurricane Patricia and how that hurricane had intensified into a Category 5 in 24 hours. Yeah, something strange going on here. The Senate just voted to help the government spy on you even more. The Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act, where they voted on Tuesday, and the votes are in 74-21 to help the government to spy on you. The bill's proponents are touting it as a means of stemming the rising tide of corporate data breaches. However, what it in fact does is it gives the governments the corporations and the governments, a free pass at allowing companies to monitor users and share their information with the government without a warrant. Although absolutely meaningless, Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming has come out and publicly stated by himself that President Obama is circumventing the Senate when it comes to the Paris talks on the UN deal on climate change. Now, he went on to state that the president has made clear that he does not see it that way, that he is circumventing the Senate, as was the case with the Iranian nuclear deal. And why did I state that it doesn't really mean much? Well, Barrasso stated this as the only Republican in attendance at the hearing, which was dominated by Democrats. There you go. On a story that we reported on yesterday about Viktor Orban from Hungary coming out publicly and lambasting George Soros for his involvement in the refugee crisis that the EU finds itself in now. Well, George Soros has issued an email statement to Bloomberg Business claiming his foundation helps uphold European values, while Mr. Orban's actions in strengthening the Hungarian border and stopping a huge migrant influx undermines those values. So George Soros is in fact admitting that he has involvement with the refugee situation in the EU. George Soros went on to state that Mr. Orban's plan treats the protection of national borders as the objective and the refugees as an obstacle. And Mr. Soros went on to state that our plan treats the protection of refugees as the objective and national borders as the obstacle. An incredible story that I brought you yesterday just went from incredible to absolutely crazy. Yeah, a young 20-year-old man who had crashed his car and repeatedly flipped over was ejected from that car and landed up on top of a freeway overpass sign. Well, according to this latest story, the family had performed a lamb sacrifice for the California man just days before he was ejected onto that freeway sign. In an already staggering numbers of refugees coming into the European Union, there are now more displaced people and refugees now than at any other time in recorded history. And they are saying that this is just the first act, and it is about to get even worse. Well, they're stating that not only are there refugees flowing in to the European Union from Syria, but Afghanistan, Iraq, Gaza, Haiti, North Africa, the Saharan Desert, and it's only going to get worse. Could it be possible that China is pumping propaganda and Beijing-friendly news across Washington, D.C. over the radio? Well, according to Reuters, in an investigation that they've been conducting, they found that 33 radio stations across the globe are majority owned by CRI, China Radio International. WCRW is part of an expanding global web of 33 stations in which China's involvement is obscured. That's according to Reuters. In an already crazy back and forth, well, we have another instance in Germany where another building that was slated, it was a school that was slated for refugees to be housed. Well, instead of Germany claiming that it was burnt by refugees to get better housing accommodations, now they are stating that it is actually attackers that burnt the building so that refugees could not be housed there. And it's been really hard for me to report on the Swedish incident where refugee sites were being burnt up by attackers there, because it is hard for me to know that if it wasn't refugees that were actually burning it up to get better accommodations, and they were just following what refugees in Germany were doing. So that's why it was kind of hard for me to report, not knowing what the truth of the matter was. But anyway, whichever the truth is, we have another location in Germany that was indeed burnt up. Well, it appears the U.S. has been making some pretty heavy allegations towards Russia when it comes to Syria and the bombing of hospitals. Well, they've been stating that it is indeed Russia that bombed these hospitals, where this Washington blog post actually states it was the United States. And when reporters were questioning John Kirby of the U.S. State Department to show some proof of these allegations that it was Russia that indeed was behind the hospital bombings, well, John Kirby refused to provide any evidence of that. And his body language actually gives him away that he is a lying sack of crap. The anonymous group has been making promises that they were going to come out with a list of politicians that are involved with the KKK, and it's been dubbed KKK. Well, they came out with that list, and it had nowhere near close to the 1,000 names that they claimed that they were going to release. Now, these politicians on there's a couple mayors that have come out and stated that they unequivocally deny any involvement with the KK whatsoever. And one of them went as far as to state that, well, I seriously doubt that the KKK would want anything to do with me. A man away on vacation to his home in Florida returned to his other home in Long Island, New York, only to discover that his house and his belongings were no longer there. That's right, you heard correctly. The whole house and his belongings. Well, come to find out, the city of Long Island, where that house once stood, has a practice of going after what they call zombie homes. And what exactly that is that in homes that they have deemed to be abandoned, well, they will destroy. Well, according to the city, who is now answering for their removal of his home, claimed that they received many complaints from neighbors stating that this 1920s home was completely dilapidated, and they also state that they sent him plenty of notices that they were going to demolish his domicile. According to this rather weird diagnosis, it is being claimed that there is a rare illness that makes people think that they're dead. Indeed, that's the case, according to here. Although the condition is not classified as a separate disorder in the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, there have been plenty of anecdotal accounts of what has been sensationalized as walking corpse syndrome and life as a zombie, according to these doctors. Well, Denver taxpayers are going to be $400,000 poorer, and they should be absolutely outraged, especially after they hear that a police officer will not be losing his job. This after a 2012 incident where police officer beat up a 77-year-old blind man at a Greyhound station. Philip White was traveling back home from a conference on technical advancements to assist the blind, and the only way that he can travel is by Greyhound bus. Well, at the bus station, they had overbooked the bus, and he was not able to get on. Well, having no way to get home and him raising a fuss about that, well, the bus station had told him that he was trespassing and that he needed to leave. He called the police, and when the police arrived, well, you can just imagine the rest. Take a look at the picture there. That is what the officer did to him, and he is the victim. A Adams County, Idaho rancher is now dead after getting into a shootout with sheriff's deputies. Well, this rancher's bull was on the loose and a car hit it. When the first responders and the sheriff's deputies showed up on scene, the bull attempted to charge at the responders and the deputies. Well, they were getting ready to take the bull down, and the owner of that bull, this rancher, showed up with his rifle, and there ensued a shootout, and that rancher is now dead. According to someone that was monitoring the International Space Station live camera feed, he claims that a camera that was on the International Space Station had zoomed into a glowing object, and that NASA, after it zoomed in, shut the feed down. Well, according to him, he thinks that this could be a UFO. Well, here you go. You could take a look at the images and the video of the gentleman right here and decide that for yourself. An event that was seen in the skies of Thailand has videos going viral. Yeah, there's videos that are circulating now that show a meteor streaking across the sky, lighting up the sky, and they were caught on many cameras that were in vehicles, and you can see those right here. According to a video that's been released by a German citizen, he claims that a refugee stated to him on camera that Islam is coming to take over Germany whether you want it or not, and your daughters will wear the hijab. You can see that video right here, and I will leave links to all of these stories in the description box below.